Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone. What a day. Trump is sending the Marines into LA. It's actually happening. So we'll get into that tonight. Pierre Poilievre trying to be a leader of the Conservative Party in Canada while not having a seat. So his interaction with the media today was a little unusual. We'll talk about that. We might go to the phones. Probably will. Yeah. To give you guys a voice. Stay with me. We're going to start digging into it on the other side. Be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, it's terrible. Trump approving the use of Marines to back up the National Guard in LA. He is at war with Gavin Newsom. That's pretty obvious. And I feel like this is just the beginning, a prelude to something much, much worse to come. And you could see this coming in one form or another a long time ago. America is so deeply divided. And here in Canada, I'd say we're being sucked into it. Some people here are just determined to do that. Let's take a look at some of what is going on. Here's some clips. Give you a sense of what's going on with the riots.
View of the Waymos. These are going to be, it looks like these are on the north side of the 101 freeway on Los Angeles Street. And from our other angle, from our other Air 7, we were seeing that one of them was actually on fire. I don't see flames at, I do see the flames further to the right, but we're going to hold on this shot right now because we can see one individual breaking windows on those Waymos. And there's that other Waymo that's on fire. And all three of these, I think I counted 4, have been completely hit by graffiti, a lot of paint, a lot of words and statements being placed on these Waymos. And this is quite an interesting scene.
Yeah, let's go to this footage here. Those Waymos, I understand, are worth like $600,000 a piece.
In this picture right now has the possibility of being detained, subject to arrest there if they remain in this location. And you can see there here on Live Now from Fox Police potentially awaiting a move, awaiting an order to try to arrest people, detain people, and avoid any confrontation or violence. So we're just following this here on Live Now from Fox very, very closely, as this also marks the first time the National Guard has been deployed without a governor's request since the 1960s, since the Civil Rights Movement. We've heard from Maxine Waters talk about that. We've heard comparisons to the Rodney King riots that has some over $1 billion and damaged, thousands of people arrested, dozens were tragically killed in that. You can see different objects being thrown at police right now. Also, just this here on Live Now from Fox as we are following it. I also want to put up this tweet here on Live Now from Fox. More information coming in from Los Angeles police about the dangers that some of them.
Here's more.
He's got his phone.
And then Trump today holding, was at an event, a news event. It was the Invest America Roundtable. Of course, at the end, it became a news conference as the media started to ask some questions about a variety of things, from his upcoming parade, military parade, which seems a little off-center for America, but it's different, the likes of which we've never seen before. And then, of course, inevitably, Trump asked about the riots in LA. Let's pick it up here.
Well, it's sort of an amazing thing, isn't it? We've gone backwards. On Wall Street, they haven't done that. If Goldman Sachs was like that, you wouldn't have Goldman Sachs anymore. Yeah, please.
Are you planning to deploy Marines in California to address the situation in Los Angeles? Are you going to deploy Marines in California?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think we have it very well under control. I think it would have been a very bad situation. It was heading in the wrong direction. It's now heading in the right direction. And we hope to have the support of Gavin, because Gavin's the big beneficiary as we straighten out his problems. I mean, his state is a mess. And I'd like to get somebody involved in the rail, because, look, personally, it should have never been built, because you can fly there for $2, and what are you doing? They're doing that. You could drive, you could do lots of different things. You know, if they did a study, if you gave every passenger the finest limousine service in the history of our world, the most expensive chauffeur-driven white glove limousine service back and forth, we would have saved billions of dollars as opposed to building this monstrosity that's going up. And I've never seen anything. You know, I've seen cost overruns. I'm a person, I've always done well on cost overruns. I don't have them. But I will tell you, I have never seen cost overruns. You see them where they're 20% more, 50%, 100% more. These are thousands of percent. Nobody even knows. They have no idea. And it was supposed to be from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Well, they just made it way outside of Los Angeles, where it's stopping in the middle of, I don't want to say nowhere, because I happen to like one of those little cities very much, but it's way short of the destination. And our government is saying, you know, why are we involved in this thing? It's been handled so badly before him, but he really blew it. So, you know, all right, one more question.
Discussions that were had there and the purpose of that retreat, your time at Camp David.
On a what?
Your time at Camp David. Can you speak to what discussions were had there and the purpose of that retreat?
Well, I don't want to speak to discussions. I mean, I told you what we were there for a little bit. We had discussions on many topics. We had a group of people, large group of people.
I'm going to pull back out of that for a moment. I'm just going to take a moment here to get these queued up properly, because that was not what we were looking for you. We'll return on the other side of this. Don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So, Trump, Homan talking about arresting the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Here he is right here, being asked about it on his way out to the chopper earlier in the day.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Gavin Newsom.
So at that news conference as well that we just showed you, he was asked about this again, and he said that the basis for arresting Newsom would be that he ran for office, that Newsom ran for office. It's just crazy. It's bizarre. And then Newsom now, of course, earlier, daring Homan, because of this war of words, to go ahead and arrest him. You know, this is posturing, obviously, to some degree, but it's highlighting a real problem in the country. I think Newsom is, well, I don't think, it's pretty obvious he's being groomed, set up, positioned to run for president in the next election. So this is obviously a high-profile showdown. The ramifications from this will reverberate in the months and years ahead as everything ramps up toward the next election. Here's Newsom and his dare.
Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his words. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you.
Yep.
Let's take that down. Yeah. I've got audio playing in my other ear here. Hang on a second here. Okay. I got that stopped. I think, you know, about what's going on here in Canada, and I say that Canada's being sucked into a lot of this, or at least there's an attempt to suck Canada into this. And all this 51st state stuff. Do you really want to be part of that, Canada? Do you really want to be part of what we're seeing going on down there? People, these separatists, they keep saying we were going to join the U.S. Look, it's going to be such a better deal. Do you want to be part of this? I personally, I want no part of this. The mass deportations, the way it's being done. You wait, you'll see the human rights abuses that will be revealed on the other side of this, with all these people being shipped off, flown off to El Salvador, to a prison without actual proper due process. It's coming. This is leaving scars in America, the likes of which we've never seen before. And America will pay the price for what Trump is doing here. Now, the politics on the other side aside, this is a pockmark on America. And even just talking about arresting Newsom this way, I don't care whether you like him, don't like him. That's not the point. It's what Trump is doing. Trump whines and complains and complains and whines nonstop. It's rigged. It was a witch hunt. Just whines and complains. And when asked on what basis would you arrest Gavin Newsom? Because he ran for office. And you've got people in the streets. Picture of how old was that girl that Newsom mentioned? There's I guess a picture. I haven't seen it because I've been busy doing so many other things. But there's a picture viral. It's gone viral of this little girl in handcuffs. I saw another video earlier today of a woman from Chile being arrested and swept off the streets. I think it was in New York, leaving her little girl stranded. And the woman from Chile was in the U.S. on vacation. I don't want to go over the border right now. I don't want to go visit the United States. I'm hearing too many horror stories about what is going on down there. Things are out of control. Yeah, this is not good. It's not about the politics. It's about the instability. It's about the feuding. It's about the Great Divide, not the Great Awakening. And this is not good for America. It's not good for the world. This needs to stop, but it's not going to. It's not gonna. What do I have for you here? Okay, let's go to Los Angeles mayor slamming to Trump for deploying troops. And I think about, all the whining, complaining that we've had from Canadian protesters here, and me, I've complained about the way the government responded to the Freedom Convoy. I thought it was too much. But look at what's going on in the States right now. I remember during the Public Order Emergency Commission hearings, the inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act, or War Measures Act, renamed, in Canada during the Freedom Convoy. And Defense Minister Anita Anand, Defense Minister at that time, testifying, being asked about, there was some chatter among politicians about possibly bringing in a tank, because of the protest. Never happened, but apparently it was mentioned in a correspondence of some kind. Anyway, Anand was asked about it by one of the lawyers in questioning, and you could tell, like, she was taken aback, clearly uncomfortable with even the idea, because it's so un-Canadian. Criticized for bringing in police in riot gear and being, raked over the coals, vilified for dealing with the protest in that way. But Canada never brought in the military. Well, people talked about that and a lot of social media chatter about it and so on, but no, they never did that. They never did that here. And it's happening in LA right now. You want to be part of that? You think that's better? But everybody seems to make excuses for this guy. And what, like, seriously, I just, this is blowing my mind. It shouldn't, because nothing should surprise us at this point from what's going on under this regime of Trump. And it is authoritarian. It's really turned that way. It's not about whether I agree or disagree with the people on the streets. I don't agree with the violence. I don't agree with a lot of the politics. But I also don't agree with what Trump is doing, the way that Homan is dealing with this. I don't agree with I expressed concerns about what I knew was going to come because of these mass deportation programs. I said, you go back, you found my program. I said, what are we going to have here? What's going to happen? You're going to see ICE agents and other officials running through the streets, chasing people down to effect arrests, throwing them into the back of trucks, whisking them away, and then deporting them out of the country without proper defense. And in fact, we've been seeing exactly that, and some innocent people being swept up in it. Now, because of these protests, everything's being ramped up. Whose fault is it? Well, it's politics, so there's blame, no doubt, on both sides. But as the president, it's really his job to maintain peace, public order, keep people safe. That should be the primary concern here. He'll argue, oh, well, that's what we're doing. We're getting things back under control. But no, I don't think that's really what's going on. This is inflaming things. It is. Here's the mayor of LA.
It's their First Amendment right. But people should also exercise that right peacefully. We do not want to play into the administration's hands. We're working with officials, we're organizing resources, but what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation, but we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy. I want the people of Los Angeles to know that we stand with all Angelenos, no matter where you were born. The First Amendment right gives you the ability, again, to protest peacefully, but it does not give you the right to be violent, to create chaos, or to vandalize property, and that will not be tolerated. So I call on all Angelenos to continue expressing your right, your anger, your outrage, but to do it peacefully. And I just have to say that all of you were there Friday. Everybody knows what happened Friday. A workplace, several workplaces were targeted and raids took place. Now, in
I'm sorry, my microphone was muted. I'm just saying. Hang on. We'll. I think I know why everybody's gone. Let me just run this, and yeah, everybody hung up because my microphone's back on. Thank you. As you can tell, I'm a little punchy today. I'm really, really tired because I've been working so much. But I'm here, and I'm doing my best for you. So you're going to have to help me out a little bit tonight. I'm gonna take a little break. I'm going to set up the phones in a bit. Come back. I need to touch on a couple of other things, and then we're going to go to the phones. And you can help me carry the show tonight so that I don't just keel over and fall asleep. You can keep me awake. That's your job tonight, Mavericks. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
All right, I'll just run this with Pierre Poilievre today, just point something out that kind of happened there, and then we're going to get into it. We'll go to the phones, and we can just discuss these stories today. Let me see if I can find what I wanted to run for you. And I didn't get these clips properly queued tonight before I was able to come on air. Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party in Canada, doesn't have a seat, lost the election. His party lost, he lost his seat, so he's not in Parliament. He's getting ready to run in a by-election so he can be elected, then have a seat, come back, get back into the House of Commons. But today, news conference responding, I guess, to the Prime Minister's and the Liberal government's defense spending plans. But the news conference kind of took a little bit of a weird turn because he doesn't have a seat. He had to actually talk to the reporters and get information about documents related to one of the stories they were asking about today because he didn't have access early on because he's not in the House of Commons. So, but still being treated like he's the leader because everyone expects him to win the by-election so he can return to the House.
Je suis ici avec nos porte-parole en matière des affaires étrangères et de la défense nationale, Michael Chong et James Bazan. Nous revendiquons depuis longtemps.
Let me get to the English. Hang on, just here we go. Okay, here we go. Coming into the
everyone, Conservatives support rebuilding our military. After another lost decade of Liberal cuts, mismanagement, and back office bureaucracy, of boondoggles, and wasted money on bungled projects, our military has never been weaker. Now more than ever, we need a strong military that will reassert our sovereignty in the north, take back control of our Arctic waters. We need at least one, but probably two Arctic bases. We need fighter jets, Poseidon aircraft. We need 4 and not 2 icebreakers to bust up the ice and reassert that we are properly the ones that lay claim over our Arctic waters. We also need to fill the massive number of vacancies that have built up in our military after the last decade by increasing the dollars available to recruit and focusing the military on a warrior culture that actually inspires people to want to join again. All of this is going to take money, and that's why we support getting back to the 2% target as soon as possible. And we will support additional money for our military. That's why we're calling on the government to bring in a budget, because all of this will require a budget that not only puts this money forward, clearly identifies where it comes from, but cuts waste in bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, corporate welfare, and other areas so that the necessary increase in the military does not come as an inflationary burden on the backs of our Canadian taxpayers who've been suffering for far too long. As always, we stand ready to work with all parties to put Canada first, to defend our country, and most important of all, to honor the brave men and women in uniform, the soldiers, sailors, and airmen who make up our forces and protect our sovereignty. We will always put them first, and we will work with anybody in any party to make that happen. Thank you very much.
If you support this, will you be supporting the supplementary estimates that include this $9 billion extra dollars?
Well, we have to see the supplementary estimates. What we've seen is the mains. Sorry?
I believe they were tabled.
Oh, they were tabled this morning. Okay, I haven't seen them yet. So that part is true. So we were both right. I'll have to take a look at the subs and see what's in there. And was there anything else in there, or is it just this?
There's definitely other things in it, I'm sure. Okay. I haven't had a chance to parse through.
Okay.
Have access to
We're going to have to go and go to the library, the two of us, and go through the subs, I guess.
On another topic then, pipelines. I'm wondering, what would you do if there's a situation where Alberta and BC, for example, are butting heads about a project? Do you think, like Mark Carney, there needs to be consensus to go forward with these big nation-building projects?
No, we've got to get it done. We need a pipe. At the end of the day, if you wait till everybody agrees on everything, nothing will happen. You're never going to get everybody to agree on every single project. And bottom line is we're giving 90% of our oil and 100% of our gas to the Americans at enormous price discounts. This is costing us tens of billions of dollars every single year to the exclusive benefit of American refineries and commodity traders who are able to take our product, bid up the price by $15 and sell it on the world stage, and do that literally about 1 billion times a year. And that is insane. So we can't wait any longer. We have to get things done, and it's going to take some backbone. And so we as Conservatives believe in pushing ahead with pipelines, and the shortest route is to the Pacific. Any other route is going to be even harder politically and physically. So we need a pipeline to the Pacific, and if the Prime Minister says he's going to wait till everyone agrees, then nothing will get done, which is what has been happening for the last decade.
Just to go back to defense spending.
We'll go to Stephanie, and then we'll go French.
Okay,
yeah.
Just to go back to defense spending, you talked about the need to get to 2%, but the global conversation now seems to be moving towards 5%. So do you support that, and do you see a realistic way that Canada could get there?
I haven't seen anyone hit 5%. Maybe I'm missing something. Has anyone hit 5% yet? Yeah. Who's at 5?
Not yet.
No one.
Yeah, Poland is getting about 4%.
Poland's up to 4, but I haven't seen any country hit 5. I think the Americans are 3.6 right now.
Yeah, 3.4.
3.4. This is my human encyclopedia here. What I also think we need to remember is let's focus on what we get done with the money we spend. It shouldn't simply be a question of the dollar figure. If the government has another 10 big boondoggles like they did on the F-35 by canceling and then rebuying it, they would be able to get up to 3 or 4% without increasing any of our capabilities. I want us to focus on our capabilities. Yes, we'll hit the 2%, and then we can discuss how much higher to go after that. But the focus of NATO and our country has to be what extra defense capabilities are we able to add, and how can we be the strongest possible military with the most affordable price tag to the taxpayer at the same time.
Pour atteindre le 2%,
oui.
Il y a 9 milliards de dollars de nouvelles dépenses, mais 14 milliards de dépenses qui existent déjà, qu'on prend ailleurs, puis là, tout d'un coup, ça va être affecté à notre montant à l'OTAN. J'aimerais savoir ce que vous pensez de ça. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est un budget créatif?
Okay, enough. Did you guys see the... I need to get this video stopped so that it's not playing in my mind. Okay. Wow. Too much audio in my head with my headphones on. Video's playing in the background that you guys can't hear. I'm fine. This social media influencer, 2 people killed in Los Vegas. So today, a man turned himself in connection with the shooting on the Strip, killed 2 people. Manuel Reyes, 41, surrendered to the Henderson Police Station in Clark County. This coming from Las Vegas Metro Police Department in a media release. Ruiz has been booked on 2 counts of open murder with a deadly weapon. They didn't mention a motive in this news release, and it's not really clear at this point, even if this guy has an attorney, but I can tell you that 2 people were shot, killed last night in what police are calling an isolated incident. People were all around, and then a lot of people ran in terror as this incident went down. I have video of it. Viewer discretion advised. You don't actually see the actual shooting. It happens just off camera, but nevertheless, this is jarring, and I guess it's just being overshadowed because of the riots in LA. And you have riots and big protests anyway, accompanying all of this in New York as well. But this is not related to these, just to make it very clear, this is not related to the LA riots. This is a separate incident, different city, Vegas. And here we go. I'll run the video. Apparently there's a feud going on between the suspect and the guy who's got to get shot. An online fighting on here.
Let's get this clear though, y'all, because we all laugh and joke. This is a PR moment. We all laugh and joke.
These are videos that led up to
mental illness is real, and we can clearly see this guy is mentally ill. So one thing about it, that's why I want to put it on y'all too. If he give us another strike and I got 3, y'all know that channel mean everything to him. He don't got no outside friends, nothing. I don't
see, and I've talked about this even happening here, where people don't like what you're doing online, so they'll initiate a series of complaints to get your channel demonetized or even deleted off the internet. So this is the kind of thing that was going on between these 2 social media influencers. And that's what led up to the violence on the Strip in Vegas.
I don't think I could do it in my heart. And I'm saying this on live so he can hear it too. Shout out LDT. But I don't think I can take his channel from him, man, because I think he's so close to going in the closet, man, and he's so close, man.
Fuck that. You know what the first thing I asked you, did you give him a strike? Fuck that. You swing at me, we swinging back twice. Boot him to the motherfucking moon.
Jerome, I'm out here searching for my baby. The fuck? I went through every fucking casino there is. I heard there's one of my biggest fans here in fucking town. I was dying to see him. I'm fucking dying to see him. What are we doing? Field bar tonight? Is that what we're doing? I'll fucking be there. I'll fucking be there. You better fucking believe it. You come to my city and think I'm not gonna show up? You fucking think I'm not gonna show up? I should have been the first one to be told. Right? Somebody should have sent me my invite. Mr. Marquez. That's right. We outside. We're doing fuel bar tonight? I'm fucking there, homie. What's the fuel bar without the fuel? We're doing the fuel bar tonight. Fucking go. Or wherever you go, I will be there. Oh man, come on. I have to say hi to my biggest fan. You know?
So he's out there looking for the guy. go back to the incident and just take a look again at what happened there. And then we just saw the guy in the car, and then the guy's going to walk up. Look like the same guy to you? Looks like the same guy to me. Wow. All right. Let's go to the phones, and you guys can help move things along here a little bit tonight. Here's the number to. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. All right, and I'll put that phone number up on the bottom of the screen right there. 1-647-734-4220. 1-647-734-4220, followed by the PIN number 860-075-764. So the phone lines are open now. So yeah, we can talk about the Marines being deployed to LA. We can talk about Canadian politics. We can talk about the ostriches if you want to. Again, I'm a little ostriched out, frankly. More information coming in on a daily basis, though. Learned a little bit more today, and I don't want to talk about it right now, but if that's where it goes, that's where it goes. I have a feeling it may go there right now. Who's on the line with us? Who's the first caller tonight?
It's your good old dragon, and actually I wasn't about to go on the Ostrich's side, so I was about to make some comment on LA and New York.
Oh, well, good, good. There's a change of pace. I shouldn't say good. It's a terrible situation. For Dragon, I don't even want, I used to go to the U.S. all the time. I haven't been there in quite a while, and I have no desire to go across the border right now at all because of all the craziness over there. But anyway, you go ahead. What are you thinking?
Well, did I actually kind of predicted in last December that might see some civil unrest because of those of the program, basically, of Trump to deport those people in the way that would happen. And I was basically afraid of it. And I mean, you also said so.
Yeah.
Everybody was warned.
You can see that the people in the streets protesting are a lot of the usual suspects, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I see that.
You know, it's and the same style of protesting, people wearing masks. It's the BLM, it's the people on the left out there protesting largely. A lot of it is organized. We're seeing some allegations tonight of Chinese influence, although I kind of feel like on the Chinese front, a lot of what we're hearing about Chinese involvement in both Canada and the U.S. in politics and nefarious activity is somewhat manufactured, because I think the Trump administration is trying to justify pushback and even maybe a war with China. Unfortunately, that's where I kind of think it is. especially the stuff where Canada is concerned.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, and that's what I'm seeing from my TV, because I'm also following some other, other news, for example. And if you look at New York, at some point in time today, I would say probably 2 hours ago, there's a young guy who did actually made an interview with one of the protesters that was wearing a black and white keffaya, right?
Yeah.
And she was polling herself as a pro-Palestinian that was also, going to give give some thought about that. And she was basically it's all organized. The BLM, you got the Palestinian, you got the Mexican, you got like all the South American people basically organizing themselves. So it's getting really, really dangerous.
Well, it gets really dangerous when you bring in, excuse me, a scratch in my throat. When you're bringing in the military, they're bringing in the Marines, 700 Marines. I believe Trump has authorized the deployment of up to 2,000 troops, if necessary, in their view necessary. But when you're deploying the military on domestic soil to go up against civilian protesters, it's very dangerous because the military is not trained. Soldiers are not trained for crowd control. They're trained for war. They're trained to kill people. Now, the exception to that would be in Canada. Sometimes you'll see the military deployed to assist in emergency situations, floods where they'll be brought in to, load sandbags. Or I've seen the military deployed in Canada during snowstorms where they go around in military vehicles and actually help pull people out of ditches and things like that. So that's a good thing to use the military for, especially if they haven't been deployed, to some far off war zone someplace. You might as well make use of them and put them to work, making our communities better, safer places. But for riots, very dangerous because it risks escalating things in the States in particular, and in Canada too. The military is a federal thing. And so, seeing sort of
for one, the military has not the mindset to deal with that to a certain extent. It's not the same thing when you're another country doing the same thing that you are in your own country. You're basically attaching yourself to your own family or your own citizens. So that's how I think there's it's dangerous, and not only for that, but the protest actually will ensue probably into a sort of a panic, if you will, because of seeing that. And that also enrage, not only for that, but it's a form of escalation of the problem. So, yeah.
Now, here's the question I have for you. Have you seen any comments online from any people involved in Canada's freedom movement or any of the people who have been highly critical of the Canadian government and the way they handled the freedom convoy by bringing in the rioters, the riot police, basically to deal with that? Have you seen anyone criticizing the Trump administration for calling in the military? I mean, I haven't seen anybody on my Canadian social media doing that.
Well, me neither. I didn't really look into that, which is a good question, actually. But yeah, I mean, I'm not aware that any of the say freedom fighters on the Canadian side have made any statement or comment on that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, because to me, that is what's going on with that. To me, that's overreach, government overreach. That's authoritarianism. That's too much. National Guard, that's kind of one thing, but to bring in the actual military, you're dealing with the sovereignty of a U.S. state. Their constitution is different, but states have certain powers, just as provinces have certain powers, right? But for crowd control, protests. Even these ones are no doubt clearly out of control because they're burning things. But to use the military, oh man. Against
how many cars I've seen yesterday burning, and not only that, people throwing rocks at ICE or police cars. Either they're standing on the street or on a highway, throwing stuff down on the lower bays. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't see a good side or a bad side. I just see a bad side. I see just all bad.
No,
in all of this.
There's no good side of it.
Right. Yeah.
It's civil unrest, and I mean, it's disturbing. I will say that the least.
Yeah. So what else is going on with you today?
Well, I was actually thinking about a few things, and mostly about that situation with LA. And I mean, is it me or all what is going on? Because I've seen some BLM, I've seen some pro-Palestinian and all that, and I'm asking myself, this riot, if it is, well, we can probably call that a riot at this point.
It's a riot, in my view, and then some.
How close are we from a civil war?
In a way, Dragon, I think we're already in it, and that's why we're seeing the use of the military. It's one-upmanship. It's saber rattling. I think that's what I'm very worried about. It feels to me like this is both sides taunting each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the real thing happening.
Yeah.
Scary thoughts.
And I don't like the response that we got from Trump today when asked about what justification would you use for arresting Gavin Newsom? Well, he ran for office. He's done a bad job. That's not justification for arresting the governor.
No. Total overreach, totalitarian or authoritarian completely. That's fascism to a certain degree. So, yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and then you want to talk about political prisoner, that would be the very definition. A political opponent, a guy who's getting ready to run for president in the next election, and then you've got Trump who's trying to find a path forward to run again, which is unconstitutional, but they're trying to change the rules, because if there's anybody who knows anything about rigging things, it's become apparent that it is Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, nice analogy. Reminds me of what happened with the last guy that did try to go for the election in Russia.
Oh, yeah, Navalny.
Yep, Navalny. That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that he was exposed to certain toxin, but the thing is that it's not the same playbook with Newsom. But I can look at the way the spin is. I mean, the way that the things are going, the way that Trump is basically trying to destroy his own opponent. So that's what it is.
I think it's worse than that, Dragon. I think that what Trump is doing is he's destroying the country. He's destroying the U.S. economy with these tariff policies. He's destroying the morale. He's ripping the country apart, or maybe more accurately, he's just contributing to the division that was already there, fueling it, making it worse, and taking the country to the brink of a civil war by deploying Marines to L.A. I'm certain there I'm certain there are other ways to deal with the situation there, but it's very dangerous. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, by the way, today I did make phone calls. I tried to buy some of that COVID antigen so we can set up our biolab in my backyard.
Did you?
I did. I phoned. Interesting. I phoned this company that Dr. Stephen Pelech mentioned in his interview with us the other night, 2 nights ago now.
Yeah.
It's Signal Chem in Richmond, British Columbia. What I found interesting about this is, we're dealing with big money, right? Because these are bio research firms. And here, let me just take this down off the screen. Oh, not that one. Okay, that's okay. Take that down. Okay. I'm going to show you the website. And I don't know anything about this company, but you would think that a company that is dealing in biotech research or whatever, that they would at least, what is going on? Okay, stop that. Let's put this up. There it is. Okay, so there's the website for this company. So I called there today, and they didn't pick up the phone. I called multiple times. When you phone, all you get is a recorded message, an automated phone system, and it asks you to punch in the names, like the letters for the name of a person to go to an extension. No human being to pick up the phone. Then I tried to email using this form, and it doesn't work. So I couldn't email them. And these these are companies that I think deal in, sizable amounts of money. I don't know what the deal is with Signal Chem, or Signal Chem rather. Let's take a look here. What do they do? Overview. They have not that these people are involved in any way in that ostrich farm thing. Don't get me wrong. They've got, as far as I know, they have nothing to do with the actual story, other than Dr. Stephen Pellick suggested that this could be a place where even I could go to buy COVID antigen that I would then be allowed, because no permits or anything would be required to inject into animals that I would own to do kind of studies or research or whatever I want to do. Anyway, I mean, it just looks like they do high-end work optimizing variant-specific therapeutic SARS-CoV-2 decoys using deep learning guided molecular dynamics simulations. These are publications and presentations. I'm just saying, I think these people probably have big contracts. It's big business. Maybe they don't answer the phone because it's such a specialized niche kind of business, and it's not like they have 1,000 people calling a day. I don't know. I just thought with the high level of professionalism that appears to be present on in the presentation of the website alone, that they would have somebody who would pick up the phone, but no. Weird. And the other thing that the real reason I mention it is because the other company, Immune Biosolutions in Sherbrooke, Quebec, the company that received the $13 million grant from the Canadian government that apparently was providing, that was working with the Universal Ostrich Farm out in BC, that's at the center of this big controversy and protest regarding the Canadian Food Inspection Agency call order because of the bird flu outbreak there. And then the sidebar story about all the research that we've talked about and uncovered that was going on with regard to COVID, and apparently without any permits. That firm never picks up the phone either. When you call there, you don't get anybody on the phone. To me, that's strange. You're dealing in multi-million-dollar government contracts, grants, and you phone, and you just get a digital answering machine, basically, and directory to dial up. And then when I tried to punch in the extensions today, I just got an answering machine on the other side. So no human being picking up. Nobody. I wasn't able to talk to anybody. They do have another email address like listed on the bottom, so you don't have to rely entirely on that email form that you fill out, which does not work. At least it didn't for me. But I did email them to make the request for information regarding acquisition of COVID antigens by email, just punching it straight into my email account and then sending it out. So we'll see if we get a response. No response so far. Oh, the other thing I did is I called. Well, did you do anything? Because you said you might call somebody today yourself. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to you because I zonked out and fell asleep last night after you messaged me. But you said you were calling around, or did you on your end?
Actually, I was making myself a lot of questions, and actually I got caught up with so much thing today. But I was working on my question, what I would ask to the lab if I would call, because I want to be prepared, and I don't want to stumble on my words like I usually do. So, so yeah, I did call to ask if you probably advice to my co-worker here, make sure that everything's fine. But yeah, probably I'll do that. Actually, I will do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
first thing.
I wouldn't. We should talk about it a little bit before we make the phone calls, because my concern as well is that we would be that the people on the other end of the line might not understand what we're doing, or they might think that we're doing something wrong or planning to do something wrong by ordering this stuff. And that's not the case at all, but I don't want to be misunderstood or have you being misunderstood and having somebody get alarmed and have that trigger some sort of response from the authorities because they misinterpret what we're actually doing. So, but I called UPS today, and I started making inquiries through them, and because they provide brokerage services for importing goods. And I've dealt with them quite a number of times. I even have an importer's number when I've done that to bring in goods from overseas. But I called and made an inquiry to see if they could tell me what would I need to import, like what paperwork do I need to fill out to import a COVID antigen from a lab in Japan, so that we can conduct experiments with this experimental COVID antigen that we would inject into animals here in Canada. So I spent about 2 hours on the phone going from call to call to call through UPS and the brokerage services there. And they didn't understand what the heck I was talking about. They couldn't help me. They sent me some forms, not forms that would help me. But I'm still not buying this idea that what the farm was using to inject into these birds was benign, that it didn't matter, that you could just acquire it down at the local pharmacy or get it from that company, Signal Chem, without any permits. I don't need any special qualifications. Anybody can buy it because it's just a protein. It's not a pathogen. And well, I've got the inquiries out. I'm still working on it. And I want to know, what regulatory hoops do you have to jump through in order to import the stuff? Maybe nothing. Maybe you just stuff it in an envelope, slap an address on it, and mail it. But I suspect otherwise, especially if you're ordering it in quantity. Because when I looked up, even just ordering, if you have to order a prescription related to like COVID treatments or anything like that, like a COVID vaccine, for instance, if there was a short supply. Today, I came across information that indicates an individual can be exempt from some of the provisions or rules that would apply to a company. But even as an individual, you can only order up to 3 months of a prescription supply from a foreign source of this particular like COVID stuff. Not the antigen that I'm looking for, but just like a vaccine, or I don't know what it was, but it was just even there just to get a prescription. If you can't get it here, but you need to import it, you could get it, but only up to a 3-month supply. And then I'm thinking, well, how much of this stuff can I bring in at any one time? Especially if I have like 400 ostriches that I want to inject. I need to import, a skid load of this stuff. I don't know. Who's on the phone now?
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, who's this?
It's Jason. I wanted to answer your question about permits and how you could use a pathogen.
Okay.
Okay, so in Canada,
yeah,
using a pathogen on animals for testing, it requires a permit no matter what, and it has to follow Canadian biosafety standard.
Sure.
Now, the Public Health Agency of Canada and the CFIA have to approve your permit for biosafety as a biosafety standard. It's a process.
Right.
So the regulations falls under HAA, which is the Health of Animals Act, and the Health of Animals Regulations, HAR, which governs the movement of all pathogens and related materials to be tested on animals.
Yeah. This is the same information I've been coming up with. I'm just trying to find somebody like if Dr. Pellick from the University of British Columbia is telling us on our live stream the other night that I can get this at Shoppers Drug Mart because it's basically the same thing, which I couldn't when I tried to. I ran that call. And now he gave us the name of the company. I tried there today. No response. I can't even get anybody to answer the phone. I doubt very much they're going to sell me the stuff. I don't think it's true what he told us.
No. So this is what I think. I think that they're lying about this whole story. First of all, I watched your lives and I watched your interview with Katie.
Yeah.
And Katie stated at first that, okay, so the story, how I understand it started was they had Japanese students come into the farm and inject these animals.
Can I just pause there for a second? I just want to make a comment. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about that. We know they came from Japan, but we don't know what nationality they really are. Like we're assuming they're Japanese because they came from Japan, but they could be foreign students in Japan too. So I don't want to make, I just thought we shouldn't make that assumption either, but back to you.
Well, can I make a comment real quick? I made some research actually today about how a Joe Random, for example, like us, could get their hand on their antibodies and do some experimentation. And that's why I kind of went into a hurdle and I needed probably some advice from Rick. The idea is that we need a certain credential to have a hand on those pathogens. So the thing is that I need to be a doctor and have a PhD and probably prove that I got that PhD through a email that I would send to that lab.
Not really, my friend.
No.
Okay, so in order to obtain any kind of spike protein, which this doctor was stating, you have to be part of academia, meaning that you could be a professor, which you hold a doctorate in your science in your field. And you are active at the university with faculty. So what happens is, let's say, for instance, I have a doctorate in computer science. I want to write an AI program. If I'm active on U of A's campus and I'm registered with their faculty, I could apply for funding and get approval that way. But no Joe Blow can do that.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
But Alex said that any Joe Blow random could get their hand on pathogen if they want to.
Yeah, I don't believe them.
I don't believe that either. I don't believe it for a moment.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. I mean, there's too many regulatory steps to, like when you start researching viruses, especially the pathogens, and where you need a level 3 level. Because I was actually impressed at the information that you guys were talking about. Because I know this about the pathogens and the labs. You can't just take a COVID pathogen that's highly infectious and then go, oh, I'm going to go and inject it in birds. But this is what I was getting at before this, was the fact that the story's changed. She had said, Katie had stated publicly, and other folks have stated publicly, that apparently the birds were infected by migratory birds, which is complete. I don't believe that. And then it became the Japanese student came over and brought a pathogen over. I mean, that would be a call for investigation with Canadian Border Security to investigate that, and the RCMP. Potentially the CSIS as well, because that's national defense. I mean, you have to think of it, it's biohazard. It's classified a bioweapon in some countries. It's a virus in others. And in Canada, you can't just, there is no way that they're bringing this virus into a vial or a petri dish concealed in some safe. It doesn't. You have to go through paperwork for this.
No, I mean, and to be accurate, it's supposed to be an antigen. And if you go and look at what Dr. Tsukamoto in Japan says he did, or what he's quoted as having done, is he received the digital information about about the COVID virus, then created, using the information, a synthetic antigen. Although we're also hearing that they were being injected at one point with, an inactivated virus, which is. But even then, when you're using those kinds of materials, there's always a possibility that an inactivated virus could still. There's a danger that it might not be completely inactive and could still be contagious, and you don't know what it's going to do to the immune systems of the animals that you're injecting it into. It's an experiment, therefore there are all kinds of risks because you just don't know what you're going to get because it's an experiment. So you have safety protocols in place.
And the other thing too, it's a virus. Like, so we have to think about, even if it's a dormant virus, inactive, okay?
Yep.
It's not in a controlled environment because they don't have a certified lab on the farm, and I can't find any correlation to any factual lab that's open that can answer simple media questions. There's nothing exists. It's all lies to me. But in a controlled environment, even then, okay, they're doing these experiments. Who's to say that it doesn't create a new virus and becomes super infectious?
Yeah.
Because look at, most of these viruses have been coming from birds and sick animals and stuff like that. It's been going on for a long time. We all know that.
Yeah. The attitude too from Dr. Pellick I found kind of strange, because this is someone who has publicly stated over and over again that it's his claim that people who are injected over and over and over again with like a COVID vaccine, their immune systems leave them even more vulnerable to being infected than other people who are unvaccinated, and that it weakens the immune system. And yet here we see these birds are being injected over and over and over again, over 5 years, to continually stimulate the immune system to produce an artificial induction of antibody production within the bodies of these ostriches. The antibodies then concentrated in the eggs, but they keep on injecting them. And he doesn't seem to be concerned at all about the impact that that's having on the bird's health over time. And if the immune systems are being weakened because of the experimentation that was done on them, that to me says that maybe that's why they're being infected, or could be infected, or more vulnerable to infection from bird flu or other viruses or other illnesses. It just a complete lack of concern. And I just find it weird.
You do have a point. Okay, so you do have a point about those birds. And let's say hypothetically they are. I don't believe they're being injected, Rick, but let's say
that
hypothetically they are.
Yep.
Yeah, they might be. Now, I actually dived in and I spoke to the Vogel farm in Ontario, which is another ostrich farm. It's Brittany, and if you go to her website, Rick, her cell phone numbers are. You could actually probably call her. She answered the phone for me anyway.
What's the name of the farm? The
Vogel farm.
Vogel.
VOEGEL farm. It's Vogel farm.
And where?
So they own an ostrich. It's in Ontario.
Okay.
Not too far from you. And anyways, they have an ostrich farm. Okay, they got a lot of birds, and it's for meat processing, everything. So it's everything that this farm has claimed. So I picked her brain a little bit, because what I came across was there was a story about Belinsky stating that he went to Africa and all this stuff. And when I read the Vogel Farms bio, it was like reading the same thing. So I called in concern, and she explained to me how these birds are. So when it comes to meat birds are a specific breed. When you're using it for scientific research, you're breeding birds for scientific research, which those birds are like the ones in Japan are totally different than the ones here in BC. So the question is, are they truly doing what they're saying they do? And are they just saying all this to try and save themselves financially and save their farm? So when she explained to me, when it comes down to the meat birds, it goes, they have an abattoir they go to. It's very professional. She explained to me the health benefits of ostrich meat, all that stuff. And then I asked her if she knew anything about the farmers out in BC. And she had no clue. She had no idea who these people were. I thought that was interesting. So I asked her about scientific research, and she explained to me, she goes, no, there's different breeds of ostriches, and different breeds of ostriches do different things. So for her, she has a specific breed of ostriches that just produces meat. They use all the animal, just like the farm in BC says.
Mm-hmm.
So if the farm in BC has invested their time and effort in creating a meat farm, ostrich meat farm, which they claim they were doing up until X a point, and then saying scientific research, it's not the same type of breed of bird. So that's where I've said when I figured that out, I was like, okay, well, their story's bogus, and everything they claim they say, even I even talked to Western Standard reporter about this to try and get some information about that Dr. Stephen,
Pellet?
and and that's the only point of reference where he correlates any kind of thing with Japan, but it's not factual. It's not confirmed. So I don't know. I just think this is a lie in my view. But it's educating a lot of us about the scientific research being done on animals. The other thing too, with the $15 million thing or something like, I can't remember what it was.
13 million
but,
at Immune Biosolutions.
Yeah. So Immune Biosolutions gets the contract for $13 million, and if you read, it clearly states it was for chicken eggs and stuff and poultry. It had nothing to do with ostriches at all. And there's nowhere where I can find any correlation between the two that, other than always the farmers from BC story being, regurgitated in the mainstream media or through our friends. So I don't know. I think it's a sham, to tell you the truth.
Something's certainly not right. A lot of gaps. The information we keep getting from the farm, they leave a lot of stuff out. They're spinning a narrative. There's clearly some untruth there and selective information. And I've never been able to get any kind of response from the company Immune Biosolutions at all, other than I was able to speak to the former PR person who had no clue about the Universal Ostrich Farm in relation to that government grant. So I couldn't confirm or deny because she said she just didn't know. It was like, who are they? Which I thought
well, the other thing too is, so Canada has a database for grants and contributions. So any money going out to research or anything like that from the feds, there's a database and it's open to the public. So what I did is I looked at every company that's been listed in the whole debacle, and Immune got money. Their lab, however, I think they're a defunct thing or something, because the address of their location is the same address as a multi-use facility, which is called Eve Labs. I think it's E4 Labs that owns the building, and they rent out rooms to scientists who do research, right? So, and this is in Sherbrooke. Like I've researched everything because I can't believe that this lie is going on and so many people are, and I'm trying to warn people, and I tell them, well, watch your show. Because what I really liked the other day about your live, Rick, was the fact that you allowed her to say what she had to say. There were some really good questions. And the minute that the truth, the good questions came out, she ran and hid. And then, Jim Kerr comes on and I'm like, wow. That just tells me something right there. As a protester and somebody who's been part of the anti-COVID movement and freedom convoy movement, there's certain key people that we pointed out that, it's just interesting that they're all there, right? So I think it's a sham, honestly.
Hopefully we find out in time. I think we will.
Yeah, I think we will. Like, you know what, though? The CFIA, okay, so I think it was last week, the CFIA released an update, and I was reading it because the Save the Ostrich is on X was pushing out their thing about disinformation. And I went and verified it with the CFIA. So the CFIA claims about finding them 20,000 and all this stuff is based on the stuff that we're all talking about.
Yep.
Like, it's confirming what we're saying pretty much.
Yes. Yeah. The CFIA, 10,000 for failing to report the bird flu outbreak makes sense to me. I don't think they did report it. And I think they did have a bunch of dead birds. And I also know, pretty sure I know who it was who was the anonymous caller now. I can't say here on the program right now, but I've dug into that. And somebody else actually today confirmed what I thought I knew. So there's two sources. So I'm pretty sure we're accurate. And then they were fined 10,000 for failing to comply with the quarantine orders. And everything I'm seeing on video suggests to me that they're not doing a darn thing to comply. It's like they're ignoring it. In fact, I would go even further. I would say they're thumbing their nose at the government, saying, what are you going to do about it? In a way. They're mocking the government. Yeah.
Like, I understand the CFIA's rule about culling birds and stuff. But on the other hand, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see people lose their farms and birds either, but at least be forthcoming when you ask for help and you're presenting your case to the public, right? That's always been my thing. But, you know, when I look at this, they're going to fight the government. My concern is the people that are there, you know, these that have went there to support their cause.
Yes.
And what if something happens, you know? So there's a few scenarios I've played out, but
safety concerns, lack of transparency, huge amounts of money flowing, over $250,000 donated, questions about the ownership of the property. Do they even own the property? Are they going to be evicted? Where's all this money ultimately going to go? We're told, you know, it's for lawyers' fees and for this and for that, but in the fine print it says it can cover operational costs. In other words, they're going to use this money for anything they darn well please. And so many unanswered questions, strange things swirling around it, big money on all sides, and international politics, and they won't disclose who it was that donated the 10 grand, the big U.S. donor. And with all of the politics that's going on right now, and even these riots in LA, I mean, the more you look at all the politics, all these things ultimately connect in one way or another. And I'm just
I'm watching the riots closely right now. Yeah, I'm watching the riots closely. I'm working with a few other independent reporters that are there, and some other social media influencers right now to get it out. Because I mean, you're right. It's all connected, and this is the one thing. Okay, so talking about the protests. My thing is, I told Paul Champ to go basically, and excuse my language, Rick, but I told him to go F himself. And I'm not showing up in court because I believe that this is all politically motivated by political interests on the outside. And when it came down to the public inquiry, there was a comment made about the connection between the Clintons and the Democrats with the Trudeau government and how they were going to deal with us in Ottawa. And the same people, okay, I'm finding out, the same company, Act Blue and Actra, which is on Canada's side, they're both the ones that are behind all these mass protests, and they're getting funding from either Soros or Bill Gates or something, or from the Democrats privately through proxies. But they, who was it, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I think it was a couple of days ago, they posted, they were like, yeah, you know, these people who are funding these protests here in the state, it's called Act Blue. So I looked into it, and I know a company in Canada called Actra, which does the same thing, and they masquerade as a union for filmmakers here in Canada, but they're actually political activists, hardcore, involved with the unions and stuff.
Well,
and I know this because,
but Jason, Actra is a legitimate union. They've been around a long time. And
don't get me wrong, they're a legitimate union, but they're being used for political means right now, and they're the ones behind the Palestinian movement. We know that for sure.
Unions are heavily involved in politics, period, right? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, Hoopie's the culprit. Like we know that here in Canada, but I don't think it's gonna. If it spills over on Canadian soil, this whole debacle that's going on in LA, I'll be surprised. But apparently there's talk amongst the grapevines right now that something big is going to happen here. And I'm just sitting back waiting because like it's not on our side either. Apparently there's going to be some big act that's going to happen. I don't know. Everybody's on like high alert. It's crazy right now. Like even traffic wise, Rick, like I watch, this is what I used to do, man. And I watch digital traffic right now. And the DOS attacks and cyber attacks right now has escalated 450% in probably the last 10 days. And it's increasing every day. And we're watching it like real time. It's crazy. So it affects everything. It's interconnected. All of it. Something big's going to happen. I keep saying that to everybody. It's going to happen this year.
Well, so here are the news releases from this company, Immune Biosolutions. The last news release from them, July 17th of last year, a year ago, basically. Immune Biosolutions announced its appointment of Nicholas Franco as chairman of its board of directors. So the company, it looks like it's still functional, maybe, but you call, and the phone line's active. It just goes to an answering service, though, right? Like a digital answering system. The same thing with that other company. Yeah. So it's like it's active. The building is there. That's the chair of its board of directors. But
do you have a list of names for their board? It's on their website, I think.
Yeah, it should be there. Immune Biosolutions. But see, there's another company just called I think it's just Biosolutions. And I showed that one the other night, and I think that's generating some confusion because the name is the same without this is the weird thing. And I did show this the other night. Biosolutions.
You're catching that stuff too, eh? So did I. So it's another one with Strelios. When you Google Strelio, it comes up as research papers, right? Other than her one link, I think it is. The same. I've seen the Biosolutions thing too, and I said, "Isn't that clever? You can trigger keywords and this whole thing to throw off people who do research. Whoever is doing, like, they're smart."
I don't know that it's just about the research, though. See, when I don't know, I'm having trouble finding it here right now. But there's this other company, and I found it first, and they same kind of name. The weird thing about it was that if you go to their website, and look at what they do, they basically work as a consulting firm to help companies get connected to produce things. And one of the main things they get involved in is the production of nutraceuticals, which I thought, well, that is kind of odd because they're all.
Yeah, wasn't it like a portal site? I remember seeing that. Wasn't it a portal site? Like it helps startup companies?
Yeah. So if you want,
okay, I
remember
that.
Get plastic molding injection done, or import, different products from different countries, that's kind of what they do. But but bio companies like biological this, and they had one of their main things was the nutraceutical industry, which is to say things like, vitamins and exactly what we're talking about here. Lozenges. They didn't say this product specifically, but what have they developed from these ostrich antibodies? Lozenges infused with ostrich antibodies that are supposed to protect you from COVID. Hair.
Oh yeah, there was and a diet study. That the other one was a diet study.
So those are exactly the kinds of products that this company helps other companies get put together, because they'll connect you with like a manufacturer so that you could then import the stuff and they'll put you in touch with a factory basically that will start to produce whatever it is you want to produce or source stuff.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was same name without the word immune in front of it. It was Biosolutions something in Quebec. But
Biosolutions Inc. Yeah, Biosolutions Inc. is what it was on the file. That's the thing. I looked at all of them because when I started reading some of the stuff, like it's like you'll go to search engines but if you have to look at it from somebody who builds websites and does SEO all day, right? That's what I do for when I build sites, and it's trigger words, keywords, stuff like that. And I noticed it right away. I was like, well, isn't this clever? and I didn't think of it at first. I was like, it did cross my mind that they were using trigger words to get away with some shit. And I thought that I think it's clever. So that actually opened my mind to think that is this potentially some type of psyop shit? That's down the rabbit hole, but I mean, you can't discount possibilities either, right? And the way I'm looking at it right now is, why would somebody, a group of people, fabricate an entire lie, present it to the way they've done it, and then you have to keep in mind, ever since Dr. Oz and all them made a statement, they've backed off and shut up. And even Kennedy deleted some of his posts on X regarding the ostrich farm, which I thought was interesting as well. Yeah. So, I mean, somebody knows the truth. Yeah.
Do you think that basically those labs could be a screen company?
Yes, 100%. One of them was Strelio. Okay, so what they did with that one was, okay, so I guess what happened was that the CFIA or something happened with them the first time, because I remember hearing this is the first time that the government's been involved with them. The first time was in 2020 apparently, or 2021, and Strelios Biotech or whatever was created, and it's registered in Alberta. And then when it went to court over this recent one, on number 86 of the rendering from the judge stated that Universal Farms was in a contractual agreement with Strelio Biotech in order to obtain all the eggs for research to be sent to the lab. And that's where they're estimating there's a value per egg. So when I looked at Strelio, there is nothing. There is no lab certification. There is nothing. And then they made a reference to this lab in Quebec, which was Immune Biosolutions. And Immune Biosolutions is renting a lab out of a multi-use facility, which then opened up more red flags, because who's to say that you can't just set up an answering? I can do this, man. I can set up an answering service and make a fictitious presence online. You know what I mean? And say I'm using a lab, get a backing from the lab because I'm renting it, and then get a grant from the government and not even do the research. It's a common thing. Look what they were doing with the Arrive Can app, all this other stuff. They all did it during COVID. So I think these are some of them are just the fronts to try and protect themselves to save their farm.
This is the one. The
I mean?
website I just had up was wrong. I didn't think that was the right. This is the one. I've got it here now. So my apologies to the other company, which I think is in the US. A lot of companies using a name, all names like this.
I remember there was one in the US. They were connected to Ostrich USA.
Yeah, that's a different company again. But the one I had up on the screen, I don't think they have anything to do with any of this. So just to clarify, this is the one I found. And I don't even know if they're connected to this. But the thing that makes me think that there might be some connection is because if you look here at under services, it says to sell market customers products in a target country or region. And then you dig a little deeper and then you look at the industries. So this is what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of strange. High precision molding plastics. And then you go down and right here, this is the one: medical, nutraceutical, and cosmetic industries. These are exactly the products that Dr. Tsukamoto was producing, not drugs, not vaccines, but nutraceuticals, where you don't get drug approval. You don't need a drug identification number. You don't need a lot of the regulatory approvals to market these products, and you don't need to go through the rigorous studies either that you would for like an actual pharmaceutical, right?
But this is not for any type of H1, any kind of research like with pathogens, though, right?
Well, this would be, those products were the result of the research that Dr. Tsukamoto was doing, using, of course, the collaboration that they have with the farm in Edgewood, BC. So what have they actually produced? What did Dr. Tsukamoto produce? Well, I can show you. I'll find. What was that name of that company again? It was Omega. Was it Omega Ostrich or whatever it was? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Omega Ostrich Incorporated, I think it was.
Omega Ostrich Farm or whatever, USA. Yeah. I'll find it. There's Omega. Ostrich Pharma USA. Okay. That's what it is. So what if, because so they're connected with this company. Let me see.
Did you do let me just ask another question. When you, because this site looks new, because when I was looking for this, Rick, I did not find it. So my question is, did you do a who is to find out if you could, if it showed who the domain owners were?
That is a very good question. Why don't one of you guys punch that in and see if you can find
Yeah,
out who
give me a
owns the
second.
domain?
What's the hyperlink? What's it called?
It's for that website. It is biosolutionscanada.com.
Biosolutionscanada.com. Okay.
Ostrogen. Pharma USA. Ostrich Pharma USA. I went to their website before. Isn't that strange that it's not coming up? It should come up on like page 1 when you punch it in. I'll try.
Okay, they're registered in Jacksonville, Florida. Oh, but that's the hosting they're on.
I wonder if it's strange that it's not coming up on page 1 again like it used to, like when I punch it in. Let me try it again.
Yeah, no, the reason why I said that was because there was a website they had, and I think they were selling it was like cosmetics or something.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And yeah, and it kept going down, and then the Universal Ostrich Farms website was resolving to the same DNS server, and I was like, oh, I thought that was interesting. And then that's when I figured out they owned everything together, like it was all theirs.
Yeah, they have a lot of these different businesses that they're involved with, and of course, I'm sure that even with Struthio, like.
Oh, this is interesting. Hold on. Biosolutions Canada, 1980 Sherbrooke West. Hold on, I want to see. I'm going to geolocate this because I'm suspecting that this is the same lab, multi-facility lab. Actually, hold on. Go back. Oh no, it's a different one.
Here we go.
And it's not even a lab; it's a hospital.
So I can show you. This is Ostrogen. They've got a bunch of these things, right? They're selling you stuff. It's like this is big. People don't realize that this is big business too. So this is stuff that Dr. Tsukamoto has been, involved in developing. OstraGrow. Our first commercially available product helps regrow hair by blocking DHT with ostrich antibodies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I read that. I read that paper and I read that whole page.
Well, they're saving humanity by making hair grow again.
Yeah, I said the same thing when I'd seen that. I'm like, well, isn't that interesting? That has nothing to do with real research. But I did read, he's got a profile for all his research papers, which some of them are actually interesting. But again, I think he got, like, when I look at his research with the glowing mask thing,
yeah,
like for me, when you actually read the science, they could have used it as an antibody, but they decided to use it for detection. And I'm like, what? Like he got silenced by Big Pharma.
But you know what, Jason? When I look back, COVID hits, governments around the world started pumping all kinds of money into research. All kinds of grants became available. If you want to get rich in Canada, I have a friend who is involved in the solar industry. And in Ontario, when they came up with the solar panel programs, like he got filthy rich by installing solar panels, but that only lasted about 1.5 years. Like that's how you get rich, because the money flows for a while. And during the pandemic, all these research grants became available. So of course, people were like, oh my God, there's like a lot of money available. A friend of mine in Ottawa, he imported a whole bunch of masks and made a bunch of money. But with all the grants going on, all these people were setting up these kinds of companies to affect research. So then I looked at like what Dr. Pellick was actually doing. And are you familiar with the research he did during the pandemic?
A bit of it. My main concern was to try and correlate if, because my understanding was that the farm was claiming that they worked with him and he was overseeing all their stuff and they were working in a lab together. Like it was just a big fantasy, right?
Yeah,
but I couldn't correlate any of that other than he confirmed something in court.
Yeah. So what did Dr. Pellick really do? He sets up a company, or had a company set up, I guess maybe even before. I don't remember when he did it, but it doesn't matter. He does research into the detection of antibodies. And it sounds all very high tech. Let me find his website for you. But when I started to think about it over the last couple of days, I thought it's not really that hard to do what he did. And not even
it's not hard to set up a company like that at all.
No, but even though what the research is, I just kind of wonder about the actual value of it. The reason being, all he did, let me bring you the company up here. Where did it go? Come on. I'll punch it up again. Connexius is his company's name. There it is there. Okay. So Conexus, sorry. That's his company. I'm not saying he's done anything wrong. I'm just saying I think he's Dr. Obvious is kind of my new name for him, because what did he do? He went around and he started to take blood samples from human beings during the pandemic. And what he showed is that the majority of people, the vast majority of people that he tested had a coronavirus antibodies in their system. Now, his research, I guess he's equating that. He's suggesting, I think, don't quote me because I haven't read all of his studies, but I believe that where he kind of went with it is he was suggesting that because coronavirus antibodies were present in the bodies of the blood of the people he tested, it showed that they had been exposed to possibly COVID-19 much earlier than was originally reported in, what was it, March of 2020? 2019? I can't remember.
Well, in Canada, it goes back to October 2019.
The dating doesn't even really matter for what I'm trying to tell people.
But I hear you.
All he did was take a blood sample and test it, and then put together some data saying, look at all these people, they've all been exposed. To try and show that, I guess, natural immunity was better than being vaccinated, that people are exposed early. So he came up with these different conclusions from his blood tests. But if you really look at it, the presence of an antibody does not mean that you're automatically immune. It doesn't mean you can't be infected. It's also possible that the antibodies present in the blood may have been generated because of exposure to other kinds of coronaviruses, even the common cold or some other kind of flu virus. Because it's just that. So his findings, I don't think were even close to being conclusive, but I suspect that he got well paid. And then what was the value of this research? In the end, what did he show? He showed that a lot of people got exposed to a coronavirus. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. There was a pandemic on. I mean, Dr. Obvious, sorry. There was a pandemic underway. You think that people aren't ultimately going to be exposed to the virus? Of course they were. We all were. I think if you went around and tested people today, probably you'd get close to 100% of the population have been exposed at this point. But even at that point, to sit there and say that, to come away with these, I'm sure he would explain it away the way that he did the many things on the program the other night, because he's very good at just using technical jargon to confuse people. And it's difficult to battle that kind of confusion because people don't understand it to begin with, let alone to explain how somebody is using technical jargon you don't understand, to explain why they're just using it to confuse you. It becomes a jumbled mess in people's minds. So it's a very effective way to deflect and distract and distort and disrupt and just confuse. So that's really, I think, largely what was going on the program the other night with him. And then when I look at this and I look at what's going on with all these companies, you've got all these companies that have been set up over time. They're feeding at the public trough with government grants. And then I wonder about the value of even some of the research that has been done. Now, out in BC, they're operating out there without any permits, no licenses of any kind, because they've told us that. You have international involvement with a university in Japan. And I'm pretty sure, I suspect that there was all kinds of government money flowing from Japan at the time too. And the university that this Dr. Tsukamoto was involved with, that he oversees, I bet you he's got to be getting some government money of some kind as well. And,
well, according from, who was it? I think it was Western Standard said this to me. I'll have to go look at my messages. But apparently the farm was contacted in Japan, and the Japanese farm didn't even know what was going on out here.
Right.
They didn't even know who the farmers were, right?
Exactly.
And the other thing too is everything that, like all the questions we raised and about this farm, the CFIA, the reason for the outcome of their fines and all the other stuff, they clearly stated that the farm did not provide the courts or the CFIA or Health Canada enough scientific, anything that would actually basically state it was scientifically or any kind of research.
Yes, the CFIA said they did not show evidence of actually doing any kind of scientific research.
Yeah. So that's where everything we're saying is like, okay, well, everything the CFIA is saying is basically correlates to what we're saying. And these guys are out there just, gallivanting for more bucks because that's what it looks like, and lying through their teeth. And then I just found it really interesting though, that when you asked, or I think it was David was asking, asking Katie questions the other day, and she got she didn't know what to say. Right, diverting it to her mom. And I think that it's all a lie. I think all of it's a lie.
This is the problem. When somebody tells you a lie, now you can't believe anything they say. And now we've got confusion. We don't know in the end. All we know is that there's some really weird stuff that has gone on out there, and it's not clear.
Well, it would be different if there were papers.
Yeah.
Like usually when there's scientific studies done on this scale, especially with this farm, like they're saying, there would be scientific research papers that are put into the system that's publicly available, because it has to be transparent to the public and for health officials. So if they're truly, trying to say that, oh, we went to federal government and tried to get a grant and well, where's the research paper? Where's the studies to prove it? You're all they're doing is giving us, misdirecting us with all these fairy tale trail hunts, because it leads to this scientist, but nothing correlates anything to the farm. And that's what I've done.
Then
I've asked her, I sent her an email about it. I'm like, can you give me any paperwork on any studies that you have? And nothing. I got nothing in return.
Yeah. That's what I've been saying too, because they said they were doing all this work with Dr. Tsukamoto. Then I showed the work that he was doing, showed the products. Then I showed that they're being promoted on the World Economic Forum website. That triggered a bunch of people. Then Katie came out and said that, no, we don't believe in masks, and we don't believe in, we're not involved in any of that. And that's not us. Well, then if you're not, you said you were working with him. Now you're saying you're not. And if you weren't working with him, then what is it that you were supporting? If not that, then what were you doing out there? Show us whatever studies you have been involved with. What is it you've been doing out there? Show us something. But they don't have anything as far as I can see.
Yeah, they have nothing. No, they have nothing. I just find it interesting, like when you look at the track record of David, for instance, and then his family, and the SEC stuff with other ostrich farms. And there's just apparently too, I've seen some documents where Universal Ostrich Farms in court for other stuff in the past.
Yep.
So I was like, well, they got a tracker, and it's just, and they've made public cry. There was multiple articles that I read where, they're trying to get people to buy into their business and invest, and it's just, then you go back to the SEC thing, and you're like, well, it's just like a scam trying to be rewritten in a different way. I don't know.
That was Dave Belinsky, the co-owner of the farm, That was a relative of his. It was his cousin, I believe. Had another ostrich farm that was involved in an investment scam, and they were charged. There was about $20 million involved, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And it was people where they were misrepresenting the risk level essentially for the offering, and a lot of the investors were older people who were risk averse and couldn't afford to lose a lot of money. And so the SEC, the Ontario regulatory, not Ontario, but the regulatory body overseeing those investments said that they had misrepresented the offering, and so a lot of people lost money, and he's been barred now, I think, from being involved in. There are a bunch of people involved. I have to go back and find the documents. I did lay it out on the program, though.
So, I read it when I was going through stuff.
Yeah.
No, I just find there's a lot of fraud going on and lies, and then what blew my mind though is like when she left, and then who was it? Bubble Bus showed up. He's like, "Hey, I'm Jim Kerr."
Yeah.
That right there told me, because I'll tell you a story, Rick. Okay, because it bothers me, that guy. It truly does, and I just need to say it. But okay, so after the convoy, we had a Canada Day event at the KOA in Renfrew, and I got the owner, Angela, to allow us to have a freedom event there. And we had like 10,000 people. It was a good event. And one of the purposes was because Tim Hortons wasn't allowing unvaccinated kids go to camp. So KOA didn't have that regulation. So we raised $9,700 to put in so that kids can get to do that. Anyways, Bubble Bus guy shows up, right? Now, we didn't have an issue up until right around the time he showed up. And this guy shows up in a brand new spanking Winnebago RV, and it's a long bus type. And I'm like, wow, man, where did this guy get money for this? This is like a fucking, sorry my language, this is like a $200,000, $300,000 bus. And he come right up to me. He's like, "Who's running the show here?" And I'm like, "Me." And he's like, "Okay, well, Jay," he's like, "Don't tell anybody that's my bus, man. Like, my other bus is coming, but like, I don't want everybody to know that this is my bus and stuff." And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." And as the whole night and things transpired that night, it got worse and worse and worse. And there was a couple points where he was acting like an agitator way in the back of the part of the campsite, and we caught it and had to go in there, get control of it with Roadrunner. And and he just rubs me the wrong way because, even when I was working with Hilliard doing no more lockdowns, the guy would show up and, we always thought that he was an agitator, right? And he's done this whole thing and he's behind the screen. It was just, wow, for me.
It was interesting in the interview with Katie that we did the other night, and she went for better part almost an hour, and then when she got really uncomfortable and backed into a corner, didn't want to answer some real questions. It was just interesting to see how she just kind of like starts to cry. I wasn't surprised. I was waiting for the tears at some point, and then off she goes, and then he jumps in, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what blew my mind. I was like, when I seen that just raised a red flag. Like, I have another friend that I work with that I've been working with for a few years, like prior to all this convoy and COVID stuff. And, we watch and we profile people because, if I'm going to go out as an activist, I want to be safe, right? And that's just me. And I did it with the convoy, did it with Hillier and everybody. So the people I've worked with, I felt safe with at the time. But this whole thing, man, with certain people that have shown up after the convoy, and we were made aware of that, really have taken a hold of this so-called, I actually call it what the left calls it now, the freedom movement, because it's not you have a country that's falling apart. You have our people living in tent cities, and you go waste your time and lock yourselves into a cage with birds and like I don't know, and raise a bunch of money. Like it's for me, it's like I get it, but it's not something I would be fighting for.
Yeah, and there's just so many layers to what we see going on out there. I think it is a very serious thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be giving it this level of attention. And it's something I never wanted to talk about. But one of the perspectives on this is that this is sort of the protest for the summer. And we saw this last year where they would, some people would go out in Alberta in particular, I think, and park on the side of a highway and have an extended protest in a rest stop, and honestly, even there, I was like, don't take your kids there, man. It's on the side of a highway. Like, it doesn't seem safe to me, but, and it just didn't go anywhere. And it just things that seem counterproductive.
Well, it's always a thing, people. I'll tell you that. I'm going to actually tell you something that I haven't told too many people. Like, so I move out to Alberta. Okay. And, I got invited to a group that are freedoms. They're patriots and they're good Albertans, but some of them are a little weird, right? So one guy, before I go, they invite me in. He brings me, has coffee with me, and he said, he's like, so do you believe the Earth is flat? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm sorry, man. And I'm like, he's like, hey, well, don't tell that to anybody when you come over, because there's a lot of people like that, and they're like hardcore and stuff.
Yep.
And I started realizing that some of these folks, some of them are good people that are involved with just the wrong people. And when I realized what these people are about, I'm like, fuck, I'm sorry. I'm like, screw this, man. I'm not hanging around with these folks because some of them are pretty crazy. Their beliefs and stuff, right? I was invited to another place one day by another group. And as I was leaving, me and my wife, we were leaving the place. And they had this table where they had a bunch of event stickers on the table. And I seen this far right, extreme far right skinhead type Nazi crap. And I seen that and I was like, yeah, I'm never coming back here again. And I was like, I started realizing that, yeah, there's some of that here. And it's some of these people are interconnected with these. Some of them are at the Ostrich farm. Some of them involve those highway protests out here, and it's crazy. I'm not ever going to say who, but it's just interesting that it's their beliefs that blows my mind when, it's our country. Our country's falling apart right now with all this. Like, I don't know if you're paying attention to what Carney's doing today, what he said today. Like, honestly, Rick, I don't think Canada is going to last another 5 years if something doesn't happen. Like, I'm not for violence or anything like that. I think we could protest a different way, or the government's got to wake up to the fact that it's really hurting our country right now, everything they're doing.
Well, I'm a little more optimistic than that, but all I can say is if the spherical Earth is described as such on Wikipedia, it's got to be flat.
Yeah, I actually asked one of them one day. I'm like, "Can you explain to me why?" And so he lays a map on the table, right? So first thing I'm thinking, first of all, man, you're laying a map, and if you're going to tell, and he does it, he does it. He draws a line across the map, and he starts explaining this thing to me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, man, I'm sorry, I just don't believe in that."
Well, listen, guys.
I'm not going to argue.
It's coming up on the top of the hour. I'm ostriched out. I've had more than my fill over the last couple of weeks, and there's going to be more of it, I'm sure, in the days ahead. So I think it's probably time for us to wrap this thing up. Do you want to provide a final thought there for us tonight, Jason? And then we'll throw it to Dragon for his Trump impression.
Well, I'll just say that there's this whole thing in the States right now, and regardless of the fact, I'm on both sides of the fence with what's going on. I just don't believe that violence is a solution. So just don't believe everything the mainstream says. That's all. Have an open mind.
And Dragon, give us your best French Donald Trump tonight.
Well, tonight
I'll say it was an incredible, marvelous stream because we just learned something. I think that we have learned that first of all, ostriches don't fly; they just walk around, but they're dangerous. So be careful with them because they can also put you into a flu of a bad moment. So take care of that and just make sure that you take your vitamin C.
All I can say is thank God ostriches don't fly because I don't want a bird turd from a 200-pound flying dinosaur hitting my car. And that being like, oh man. But anyway, thank you guys for calling in and helping carry the program tonight. Appreciate it very much. And I'll leave everybody tonight with MAGA Mars, since we're talking about the flat Earth. And I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the flip side. All right. See you tomorrow.
He's got a plan. It's bold and grand, taking over land, sea and sand. Canada's ours. Greenland's in the mix. The Panama Canal's just another fix. But Mars, oh Mars, you pesky red sphere, your spying drones are making it clear. It's a threat to Earth, a cosmic sin. But don't worry, folks, he'll make Mars great again. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. We'll impose sanctions, taxes, and fines. Martian exports know they're crossing the line. The Martians cry foul, but Trump doesn't care. He'll build a space wall floating up there. Elon's on board with rockets ablaze. The stock market's loving this Martian craze. He says, trust me, folks, I know the deal. Martian gold is ours, this plan is real. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. Hotels with golf resorts, intergalactic trade reports, a MAGA dome where Martians bow. We've got the best Martians, Trump says now. Fake news claims the plan's absurd, but Trump tweets back, it's the final word. Martian drones not on my watch. Space Force ready to kick it up a notch. MAGA Mars, you're the 53rd state. Under Trump, your future is great. With Elon Musk and the Space Force too, we're slapping tariffs on your Martian crew. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. So buckle up for the Martian fight. Trump's taking over the Martian night. It's all for freedom, it's all for the win. Oh, say can you see, he'll make Mars great again. Make Mars great, yeah, make Mars ours. Wave that flag on the red rock stars. So buckle up for the Martian fight. Trump's taking over the Martian night. It's all for freedom, it's all for the win. Oh, say, can you see? He'll make Mars great again.
Boom. This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.